that I turn this screen over to Laura and to Prism Yarns. So Laura, you're on.
Thanks, Fontel.
Cancel.
Oh,
It truly is amazing that that
Okay.
now Stitches is almost as old as our businesses are. And while I came to Stitches a little bit later than you did, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah.
Yes, but let's remind everybody to turn
To
their
mute.
mute buttons on,
Yeah.
please. Yes, thank you.
Because I can hear stuff in the background. That's why I was worried. Anyway, it's kind of amazing that Stitches is now almost as old as we are, and in terms of how long our businesses have been going, and that you and I started in the same year. That's pretty wild too. And I may have come a little bit later to Stitches, but it really did become to great extent my knitting family. And I really, while many of you know that I made the decision this past year to stop going to shows, that was purely a factor concerning my being kind of burnt out with all the travel. So I actually really have loved having these virtual events. It gives me a chance to connect with you on a regular basis. And the couple of Stitches at Home classes that I taught in September and October were great fun. If you have talked to anybody who took those classes and you're curious to know more about the color system we were working with, that's our presentation tomorrow at 1:30 Central Time. So please jump on in for that, because it's going to be a little educational as well as showing you the garments that have come through. And I'm going to kind of give you a preview of what that's all about, because the first thing we're going to look at is symphony in what we are calling our Chroma Noir colors. And let me get that so you can't see the blue. And you can see that this is 12 colors in a gradation, and we've just been having such a blast doing this. So you are seeing in this hour-long episode really the newest things off my needle, and then a few things that we've kind of rediscovered if we have time at the end. And because there was really only a Stitches West, all of the things that Fontel and I had planned to show during the year kind of never got seen by anybody. So we're going to kind of look at some of those. But this one is hot off the needles, and we had a little session last week with some people, and this proved to be the big hit. This is 7 Skeins of Symphony. And Symphony is a really yummy merino cashmere blend with some nylon in it for stability. And what we have here is a little poncho or serape, whatever you like to call it, that has this looking on one side and this looking on the other side. So you can, in fact, decide what side you feel like looking down at during the day, or what colors that you're wearing it goes along with. And one of the things we discovered in messing around with it is how darn cute it looks this way as well. And it really does. So although I've added buttons to this button band, it's not really a button band, it's a seam. And we think that that really adds a lot, and it still looks good in the back. And frankly, it could get turned around again. So I'm gonna bring this a little closer to you so you can see that detail, because that's kind of fun and a new thing. So even the people who saw it 2 weeks ago are not going to have seen this part. And so we think that's pretty spectacular. And I'm not going to show you on everything the various color combinations that we have, but if you go to Fontel's website, you will see the various color combinations we've put together. So what this is a string of 6 colors. And in this case, it is these 6 right here. And then popping into the middle of what's left over for the accent color. So you can really do that with any, if these are your 6, then that might become the accent color. If these are your 6, because this really goes in a circle, if these are your 6, then perhaps this becomes your accent color. So it's really fun to be able to fool around with the different colors. And while we have given you color suggestions, you don't have to be stuck on those. So we are calling this the D2D on the edge poncho. And that's how you'll find it, D2D on the edge. Do you have any questions about that? Size 8 needle, 8 or 9, I think. It was a quickie. It's got a little bit of garter stitch at the edges. You can see how the green acts as the accent in there. And that is just a quick knit, not too expensive, fun, easy, great piece, very versatile. So if there's no questions, my friend Brigitte Radams, who does a lot of designing with my stuff, and literally with my stuff, but with my yarn as well. Brigitte runs in here once a week or so, and we're all properly masked, and she picks out her next project. And in September, this is what she did. She took those same chroma colors, different accent color, and did this fabulous mitered squares jacket. So this is Bee's Squares jacket. And you have to understand that Brigitte is
squares.
Bee's mitered squares. Okay, Bee's mitered squares. She is taller and more slender than me, so this fits her better.
Full yarn. I have just got.
Somebody is not muted. Could everybody check and see if you're muted? Thank you. So a lot of fun. These are fairly simple miters to do. She's not made it complicated. And again, while we're offering you this colorway, certainly with these 7 colors, which happens to be this through this, 2, 4, 6, 7. I'm not sure what's going on there. That one's not, I don't know. I'm not sure what she did. That 2, 4, 6. Oh, we were out of one. We didn't have this one. So she just eliminated it, which can also be done. So of this run, she just picked this to be her in-between color and her sleeve color, but you could really pick any of them. You could also add this back in and get rid of that or get rid of this. Again, very versatile. And let me give you a little close-up of it. And I want you to look at how beautiful the detailing is on the band, where you're doing 2 rows of every color. And it gives you just a really rich, wonderful little rainbow of color there. And in fact, I like that so much that one of the things you'll be seeing in a month or so is something that's going to really exploit that greatly. So she looked at that and said, well, that will make a fabulous wrap too. And so she did that. And so we have Bee's Mitered Square Wrap, which of course uses less yarn. It's still a nice generous size, plenty to wrap yourself up in here. And again, you get to pick what the outline color is going to be. And because she picked a different outline, you can see what that might look like. And again, loving how it looks on the band. She did the same thing where the band is 2 rows each of all of the different colors. So that makes quite a beautiful little statement there. And if you've never done mitered squares, this is a really easy way to do them, introduction to them, because you're only working with 1 color per square. So so you don't have lots of stuff you have to follow. They are in stockinette, which gives the whole thing a flatter aspect than if they were in garter, which is nice for symphony because it's a DK weight and a little bit heavier. So how are we doing on that? Any questions about this? Is that good, Fontel?
Laura,
Okay. Yeah.
Laura, how many colors are in the wrap?
The wrap has 7 colors plus an accent, so 8 colors. 8, okay. and it's 8 skeins.
Yeah.
And Brigitte did tell me that she used every single yard of one of the colors. And now Brigitte has her own pattern store on Ravelry, and Fontel, I believe, is facilitating those patterns. Brigitte told me that whatever the color was that she was close on, she noted it in the pattern, and it says, don't leave long tails on this color or you're going to run out. So,
Okay.
but we stock all of these colors. So if anybody should need another skein, we have them. Might not be the same dye lot, and the dye lots aren't perfect, but in something like this, it shouldn't matter. Okay. Ready to go on? Well, we're going to leave symphony for a little while and go on to something else. This is my personal favorite that I just finished, and I'm calling it Twinkle Twinkle. And it started out as an entirely different project than what this is, and I know it looks crazy, and it has this crazy, you can kind of see shaping on the shoulders. But when you put this little guy on, it is so much fun. It has that Eileen Fisher aesthetic of being big and boxy in the body. Because of these shaped shoulders, it doesn't dip at the hem. You know, sometimes when you have big boxy things and it's straight across here, well, that has to go somewhere when it gets to your arm, and where it goes is on these dippy side edges. And instead, this one is perfectly mannerly. Fontel was wearing a Tootie pullover that Barry Klein designed, I believe. And I said, oh my God, that looks fabulous. What are the dimensions on that? And she sent me a very rough précis of the dimensions, although I suspect Barry would have said, sure, go ahead. But, you know, just having the dimensions. And I really studied it. And I had already started this sweater, and I had cast on this way to be this way. And I was thinking about a kind of holiday-ish sweater, one that I could wear even in Florida without being too unbearably hot, with a sleeve about this length. And I was going to try to build some drape into it. It's a very lovely drapey material, very drapey fabric, because while it is Merino Mia 2 and Shimmerati and Petite Madison, oh, you don't want to look at the labels, there we go. These are the colors that are in this piece. So usually you work those yarns at most a size 6 needle, and I worked this on an 8. Now it is half linen stitch, which, you know, would lend you to believe you could go up to maybe a 7, but no, I really went up to an 8. So these yarns, which on their own often work to 6 to the inch, the gauge on this is 5 to the inch. So it is loosened up, but because it's a half linen stitch structure, it's stable. So it's not going to snag and it's not going to droop. It's good. And if you look carefully, you will see that the colors shift as they go across. Well, you have 2 different skeins of Mia 2 and 2 different skeins of Petite Madison and 3 different colors. Hang on, it's not the right color. There it is. 3 different colors of Shimmerati, and you just kind of change those colors at will. Now, the funny story about this is that I started with these colors, which happens to be this, this, and this. And I did that after a great deal of swatching to decide what I liked. And I started it, and of course it was going to be worked this way. And it didn't have a lot of striping, so that was good. And I got bored with it, especially once I decided to do it this way, which I had about that much knit. And I wasn't going to tear that out. So I just turned it on its side. So that original knitting that I did was this. On this side, these colors. Well, now I'm about to here, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to need more yarn because this is now a bigger piece. And I'm bored with these colors, so I'm going to start bringing in some other colors. And I love, it is truly a Monet's garden of colors. And so it shifts everywhere. And that's kind of fun. I'm not going to tell you in the pattern exactly where you shift each color. You can do it as you desire. And you can see that it gives you some sort of color blocking. So the sleeves are the sleeve is a little bit different than this, and this sleeve is different from this one, and it's different from here. And the yoke makes a shift up through here, and the bottom band also is a little bit different. So you get just some really subtle color blocking. So that is a very fun thing. So we have this original colorway. This is a place where I brought you colors to see my other suggestions. And I have this one for those who really like stronger sort of autumnal colors. We have this one, which I think is just fabulous. And then this one, if you wanted something a little more neutral, which I think is going to be very dressy looking. So there's not that much color difference in this one. What you have is a little more shift in value. So you have these very dark colors and some medium colors. And then this one little shot of lighter color that's going to just give you a little sparking up. And you know that half linen stitch really hides the striping from self-striping yarns. So this is Winterfell, and I think this was Autumn Leaves maybe, and this is Fresh Blooms. So if you go to the website, you'll see those colors. I've only written the pattern in one size, but it has a very complete schematic. And if you don't want it this oversized, you just don't knit as much. And at 5 stitches to the inch, it's really easy to translate what the other things should be. And I have this sleeve fairly tight because I want that aesthetic where it is tighter, so that it gives you that really nice drape. And just, okay, imagine I'm walking. You can see how it kind of swings and sways. It's really got a nice feel to it. So it's very easy to customize it for your size, and there was quite a bit of yarn left over. So even if you wanted it larger or longer or a longer sleeve, there's enough yarn to do that. Any questions about this guy? This is called Twinkle Twinkle, in honor of all the sequins in the Shimmerati.
This is so beautiful, and I love the midnight colors that you have, that you pulled up in that second row.
Yeah, I think that these would be, yeah, I mean, they're not so much Florida colors, but boy, oh boy, they would be very elegant.
They are
So
elegant.
I'm just bringing it closer so you can see the detail. You can see the sparkles a little bit better, and you can really see how drapey this fabric is. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that's
Laura?
really a special piece, Laura.
That's an easy knit.
Yes,
What
it
is
is
What's the width of your finished piece?
30 inches wide.
It's only 30?
Well, it's 60 around.
Okay, thank you.
30 wide on the schematic. Yeah. And it's 30 inches long as well, to the top of the collar or to where it sits on your shoulder. So a great piece to wear with leggings or a pencil skirt or slim slacks. All right, any more questions there? All righty. Well, I'm going to move on to this, which I don't know if you guys are still getting Vogue Knitting or not, was in the latest issue of Vogue Knitting. We're so happy that somebody is still publishing a knitting magazine. And this is the cover. It's fall 2020. And here's the color that they had me do it in. So this is ikat knitting, and many of you are familiar with ikat knitting. But I love, love, love this piece because this stitch pattern, which is bars of garter stitch, alternated with bars of yarn over, let's see, that one is, yeah, yarn over knit two together or SSK yarn over. Well, you know what that does. If you're always doing knitting two together, it skews it this way. And if you're always doing SSK, it skews it that way. And because you're changing it all the time, it's skewing it back and forth and back and forth. And it really is magical looking. This is one of, even though it looks complicated, this is actually one of the easier and less necessary for it to be precise pieces. I love again, the generous size of this. It's a great piece for whatever you need to do. I mean, there's enough there. I finished it with twisted cord, which, you know, if you know me, you know that that's my favorite finish. And I really love this. This is, again, symphony. The needle size is not going to be as important. It's going to be very important for you, because it's going to tell you how to figure out what needle size is best for the symphony and the color patterns. And we have a lot of colors available in the ECOT. And most of these, no, I'd say about half of them are in stock. What I'm wearing is this one, Nutmeg. And what they showed here is this one, which is Salmon. So I'm going to show you that again.
Really pretty.
Well, yeah, we've got, you know, the real neutrals. We've got gray and beige. We've got sage green and gray. That's lovely. Some brighter colors. I really do love this piece. And so far, a lot of people have bought it, and nobody's called me screaming, I don't know how to do this yet. So I'm thinking that maybe that's okay. And I will tell you that for Vogue Knitting next week, I am teaching a 2-hour introduction to ECOT class that takes you step by step with worksheets on how to get through this and how to make it work. So if you've thought about it, this is a good time to hop in. All right. Any questions on that?
I love this piece, Laura. This is cute. Yeah. You know, I'm doing mine in gray.
Yes, and Carrie will tell you that as I'm dyeing these, there's always about a half an ounce left, so I'm including it in the package so that so that whoever buys these now has a little bit to do their counting swatch on. So you don't have to do it and then rip it. You can just do it.
Which is really nice. Thank you.
My little gift.
Thank you. This yarn is so soft.
Okay. Also from Brigitte, she saw a vest that you guys will see at some future date. It's not ready for prime time yet, but she saw a vest that I did using lots of different yarns and in half linen stitch, and said, oh my God, I love that. I want to do that in a wrap. So she started with Tumbleweed and did in half linen stitch this, again, generous sized wrap. And when we looked at all of the yarns, it came out to be a certain price. And I said, you know what? This is waiting for the votes to be counted before making any sort of declaration, but he does fully accept. Somebody's not muted. Would y'all check, please? So we are offering you, or I am offering you, a 20% discount on this particular project. It's called Moulin Rouge, and Fontel will have to give you a discount code for that because it is listed at the regular price on the website. And I don't think that this discount coupon will be good forever, but I'm so happy to be back with my Stitches buddies that I'm gonna do it. Here's another colorway. And of course, this one's mine. So I did the twisted cord fringe because that's what I like. And it's great. It's got a very generous size, and it starts with a skein of stuff. So here's why I can offer the discount. You pick your color of stuff, and I just pulled a little array here of some of the colors that we have. You pick your color of stuff, wild, cool, or layers stuff, doesn't make any difference. And then I put the other yarns together to support that color of stuff. And what I'm wearing is Pinot Noir. And if I think Fontel has many stuff colors on her website, but if you go to prismyarn.com, there's also, you can look at all of the colors of stuff, and this can be built around anything. It starts with just a half a skein of stuff, and then it has Petite Madison and Constellation and Symphony and Otter, which you'll see more about in a minute. That's our fake fur. And Valhalla, which is a gorgeous merino single. It's got just a lot of different textures, and it's very fun. And you only do one row in each yarn, and then you cut it. And in the case of me, then it becomes the fringe. Brigitte decided she didn't want fringe, so she wove every one of those in on the backside. But you know, it's up to you to decide what you like. Once I discovered the twisted cord fringe, I was happy to have fringe because I think it's pretty sophisticated looking. I don't care much for the just loosey-goosey fringe, but I like this a lot. So this is the Moulin Rouge wrap. Do I have any questions about that?
Yes, I have a silly question.
Sure.
I ordered it and I love the colors that you sent me. They're beautiful.
Yes.
I noticed on the pattern, and you'll appreciate this question, it says it's trimmed with reverse crab stitch. Is that the same as crab stitch?
It's the same. It's reverse single crochet, which is the same as crab stitch.
Oh, I'm good then. I'm good then. I thought I was going to have to sit backwards and do the trim.
No. You know how to do that, Ivy. I'll let Brigitte know that. It's sometimes the Belgian speaker writing in English that becomes the problem. So I'll bring that to her attention.
No problem. I just wanted to know if I was.
No, it's a good thing to clarify. It's also amusing. So
especially for me.
Yes, and I think so. You have the pattern, and I actually have not seen it. I think Brigitte actually tells you row by row what to do, what yarn to do next.
I don't remember. I'll have to look at it again.
But I know she told me that there was plenty left over to make it even wider. This is pretty generous.
Yeah.
We thought it was the right size. It's it's 13 wide and it's 80 or more long. So we thought that was a pretty good deal.
So Laura,
Yeah.
The coupon code for the discount is this. It is Mulan 20. So if you go to the website and you order at checkout, it will ask you for if you have a code, and that code again is Mulan 20, and that will take the 20% off. Back to you.
Perfect.
Laura?
Yes.
The pattern says you might run out of A towards the end as well as C.
Oh.
And it says just continue.
Yes. So see, when I do this kind of thing, I just pull whatever yarn I feel like knitting next. She actually set it up as a repeat pattern.
Correct.
But because you don't have the same yardage of every single yarn, that can happen. And I'm looking at this, and do you think it makes any difference if it's a repeat pattern? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think that if you run out of one of them, just eliminate it from the rotation and keep going. And part of it's going to depend on how long your tails are and all that kind of stuff.
Laura, I'm going to ask you a couple questions from the
Sure.
chat.
Yes.
In fact, Gail wanted to know what sizes Twinkle Twinkle comes in. Is it a one size?
I wrote it as one size, and then in the text, I gave you coaching on how to alter the size.
Okay. And Karen asked, and I think it's of Twinkle Twinkle, what the original color scheme is called. It's probably called, Karen, the original color scheme.
Yeah,
And then,
no, we called it Blooms or something. Hang on, I've got that information here. Blooms, we called it Blooms.
okay. I'm writing that down. No, I think, I don't think there is a Stitches discount.
No.
No, just the discount for the Moulin Rouge, which is really nice, Laura. Thank you. No, I think we're caught up. Back to you.
All righty.
Okay, on to the next.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it may be because we live in Florida. I don't know. It may be because it's still hot here. I don't know. But Brigitte and I both seem to have been a little wrap crazy these days. And I think that a lot of knitters are, because they're incredibly useful pieces. And let's face it, sometimes, and maybe in particular in this time of COVID, we don't necessarily have the mental energy or attention to knit more complicated things, to knit things that need to be checked for sizing and whatever. So Brigitte did another wrap. She went to Impressions, and I don't know if any of you have ever worked with Impressions. It is our extra chunky version of stuff. It has half the yardage and twice the thickness. So it's you work it on an 11 or 13 needle. And she just picked a color she liked and did this wrap, which just has a little detailing on the bottom edge, little garter detailing in the bottom, and trimmed it with a skein of Symphony in crab stitch, which is also reverse single crochet. And again, the same generous proportions that we have for everything. And Impressions is fun because one of the things that we did was to cut hand-dyed silk fabric and insert it in strips into the mix. So every once in a while you come along and find a strip of fabric that gets you maybe, I don't know, 6 stitches or something. But that makes the tails kind of really fun. So in this case, she's left the tails on the outside edge. And there have been times when I have tied beads onto those tails as well, which is kind of fun. So this is Curry. We have Meadow, which is lovely, Yosemite, and Dune. So that's kind of a fun thing. That is called Impressions Charm. Impressions Charm. So that's a really quick knit. If you need something in a hurry to match something, not that any of us are going anywhere these days, but you know, someday we will again. Okay, any impressions? Any impressions of that Impressions? No, any questions about the Impressions? Okay, thanks. So this had a little preview at Stitches West. The next few pieces did. And so if you were at Stitches West, you will have seen this in person, maybe, maybe not, because you know what it's like when you're on the show floor. It's crazy. There's people everywhere. You can't get to this. You can't get to that. You've only got an hour before you have, because you finished lunch and now you've got to get back to class. And we all know what that's like. This is actually one of the advantages of this situation. If you're interested, you can hop on in and you get my total attention for the 30 minutes or half hour or whatever it is, with ample opportunity to ask questions. So one of the things that I've been fooling around with is reversible stitches. And you're going to see another piece after this one about reversible stitches. And this particular method is 2-color fisherman's rib. Now, if you're a briocher, it's also 2-color brioche, but I do it via knitting in the row below, not the way traditional brioche is done. And I chose here Shimmerati with the sequins for one side, and Otter, which is our faux fur, cropped faux fur, for the other side. So in this scarf, you have a totally reversible scarf, which is very ottery on one side and glittery on the other side with bits of the otter peeking through. So that's a very fun kind of piece. And this could, when you start, you don't know how much yarn it's going to take. It's pretty wide. I think it could be improved if it were a little narrower and then a little bit longer. But it's kind of really fun because it's long enough to do this kind of thing with. And you can, let's see, you can fuss it around so that you've got fur showing here, and then you've got the glitter showing here, and that's pretty fun. So that was the first experiment, and I'm liking that a lot. Now, Otter, for those of you who haven't seen Otter yet, the story behind Otter is that it was sent to me as plumette. And many of you know plumette, which is our short cropped furry yarn. Well, when it came in, the hairs were a lot longer on this than they were on my plumette. And I swatched it and said, I would have to change all my patterns. This is not right. So we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And eventually, I negotiated a discount on, they replaced the plumette. So we have plumette that's really plumette. And they gave me a discount on this. So I'm able to offer Otter at a lower price than plumette is, which makes things like this a lot more affordable. So my next foray was to just take 2 colors of Otter and do a big wrap that is totally reversible in color. And because you wear this as a wrap, you're really not necessarily going to see the other color unless you choose to flip this over, which you certainly can, and then you get this. But if you just do this, you've got a double duty wrap. So here it's this lovely plummy color, and it's just got little bits of the mustard peeking through. Or you've got the mustard side with little bits of the plum peeking through. And if you've never handled this, it is so amazingly soft that really you just want to kind of curl up in it. So it's one of those, it's a comfort piece. Like if you just weren't feeling very well, you just needed a hug, and all you did was do this around your neck, you're getting like an uber soft hug. And then you can think of me and think of me giving you a hug, because kind of that's where it comes from. Are there any questions about that? I know that Fontel has a few options of color on the website. Remember that any of these can be bespoke. In other words, you can contact Fontel and she will contact me, and between the 3 of us, we'll do for you whatever it is you really want. So if we're not offering you the color that suits, then by all means, let us know and let's do something different.
Laura, that's absolutely stunning on you. Just stunning. Yeah.
Isn't it? It's such a great piece.
And thank you for our hug.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for what?
Our hug.
Yes. Well, God knows we need hugs these days. Everybody needs hugs.
I know too, that's so lightweight. You know,
it is. It is. I mean,
so it's not a heavy piece to wear for people
no.
who like the weight around their neck. It's really lightweight. It's really soft.
So it's 6 skeins of Otter, and I don't think you use all of the 6 skeins. So if there was half of one each color left, so say it was 5 skeins, it's like 15 ounces. It's just like a pound.
The thing I love about this yarn and all the clones of this yarn is whenever you touch it, it feels cool.
Yeah.
But
yes.
When you put it around, it takes the coolness off your neck, but you never feel hot. You don't sweat. You know, it's not hot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. It's airy. even though it's nylon, it's not like, it's not dense like nylon stockings. So
No.
it's not trapping that moisture in, it's actually wicking in a way. So
It's really nice. I love working with that.
yeah, I love that piece too.
Yeah.
I do love that piece. Okay. Well, now I'm going to talk about my other really big deal that's reversible fabric, and that is the corrugated rib vest. So this is our jacket. So we all know what stockinette does, right? Stockinette curls. And the tighter you knit it, the more tightly you knit it, the more it's going to curl. So this is Mia 2, which is our replacement for Merino Mia, and it's a sock weight, 100% wool that is in a nice tightish twist. So it's got very good stitch definition, and it's knit on the smallerish needle. I think it was a 3, depends on you, but it's knit, I think, at 6 or 6.5 to the inch. So it's a lot of knitting. But one of the things, so if you take stockinette, which is going to curl this way, and then you change to reverse stockinette, which means the purl side is coming out, then it's going to curl that way. So you can have ridges of color. And if you change color, you get a fabric that looks like this. So here we have the purl side of that. And if I spread it a little, you can see that showing through. And if I flip it over, you have the purl side there. And if I spread it a little, you can see that. So the trick with something like that is to make it a generous enough size that when it's on, oh dear, there's a run in the sleeve. I'll have to fix that. That when you have it on, it hangs, it drapes, okay? So you're not really, but it moves. So especially at the shoulder where you've stabilized it, you really get the solid red, and then it moves, and you can see just how big this actually is. And it's just, and it looks different on this side. So you can decide that today you're really going to be in the neutral zone and switch to the gray. Gosh. So it's very tailored, very neutral, right? You can't really see the red until I start to move, and then you get a little bit of it. And it's just like a wonderful little surprise that all of a sudden you see those red indentations showing. So while this is a lot of knitting, it's really, really a lifetime garment and well worth it. And for anybody who saw it at West, you will notice it has been completely redone. The sleeves are redone. They now are thin. They fit correctly. The shoulders fit correctly. When I saw the pictures of it in the fashion show, I was really appalled. So I made Fontel send it back to me, and I redid the whole structure of it. And it is written now so that you are doing circular knitting wherever possible. So the sleeves are knit in the round. So there is no seam here. There is a tiny little seam here where the sleeve attaches to the underarm, and there's a shoulder seam. And other than that, no seams. And it's a little fussy because you want to be casting on with provisional cast-ons so that you have live stitches. So that, again, when the front band is picked up, there's no pickup row. So it took quite a lot to work through all of that. Same thing with the sleeve is picked up here. So there's no sleeve seam here, sleeve to arm to body seam. It's just picked up and worked seamlessly down. And yeah, that took a little doing, but I'm really, really pleased with the possibilities and with the options. We have offered it in this combination of colors. We've also offered it in fog and gray, which is on the website. And quite frankly, it would be beautiful in pairing any of the Mia 2 colors in chroma colors, which in fact we have an order for. And we can do quite a lot of interesting things. Someone sent to Fontel, who sent to me a couple of colors and said, this is what I wanted in. And while I can't do a ton of custom dyeing, the colors were very close to some chroma colors. And I looked at it and said, you know, if I just take these that already exist and dye them with a little bit of gray so they get a little bit darker, they're going to look like just like this. And everybody said, yay, that's good. So yeah, we really encourage that kind of interaction. That's what makes me happy. I like it when I can do things that really make what you have the thing that you was in your wildest dream, that you never thought you would find. And so there's a lot that we can do that way. So I am going to bring out a couple of pieces that, again, you quite possibly didn't see because they didn't get that much play at Stitches West, but they are on the website. They're maybe not in this Stitches folder. Is that right, Fontel? Everything that we're showing today is like in a Stitches folder?
Everything we're showing today, Laura, is I'm gonna hold this up. So everything today is on the website, but once you get to Great Yarn's website, take a look under catalog and you'll find a listing for kits. Click on kits and then go to Prism, and all of the things that you see now will be in one place altogether. So you just scroll down. I believe there are 3 pages, yay, of Prism kits. So you'll find them.
Okay, and so that's why I keep repeating the name of the garment to you. So jot it down, because that's how you can search for it as well. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, good. Was there a question?
No, or call us. You
Or
know,
call them. Absolutely. So it's so weird. Why are people afraid of the telephone anymore? We can't do everything by text and email. It's good to talk to each other.
if you
So,
have any
okay.
trouble, no, call. If you have any trouble with the website or you really can't find it or it's just a little too complicated or whatever, just give us a call.
Yeah. Call. Okay.
Phone number is in the chat, so take a look in the chat.
So these are 2 fun pieces that that we've been doing a lot with this season and last season. I did a new version. Some of you will recognize this. We call it the Fibonacci fade because the plumette or otter sections down here are faded into the symphony sections by using a Fibonacci sequence. And this is otter instead of plumette. And actually, Fontel has the plumette version. Otherwise, I could show you the difference between the otter and the plumette with the slightly longer hair. It's just a little more silky and a little more lush looking. But what's really fun about this is that this poncho and this entrelac wrap use the same materials. It's 6, I think it's 2 otter and 6 symphonies.
Yes.
So you can even get the kit and then decide later which it is you want to make. And while this is shown in solid colors and this is shown with a multicolor symphony, doesn't matter. This could be equally stunning with a multicolor here. This could be equally stunning with 2 contrasting colors. So that is something that if you haven't given it a look before, you might want to think about. It's really a nice, fun piece. And what I like about these, well, living here in Florida, this becomes my winter coat. One of the things that I noticed when I lived in Buffalo was that I couldn't, in the winter, I couldn't really wear my sweaters because you always had to put a serious coat on over the top of whatever you were wearing. So if you had a sweater or a sweatshirt or something bulky, you know, that was a problem putting a coat on. I like these generous pieces because you can layer them over. So the coldest it gets here is that I might have on a sweater or or a sweatshirt or a tunic or something. And I can put this on over that and you know, it fits. And that's a very nice thing. So that's the Fibonacci fade and the entrelac wrap. And this also is a little bit of an oldie but goodie. Oops, nope, I put it the wrong way. This was seen in Vogue a number of years ago, and it looks crazy when you look at the piece. This is plumette. See, actually, I can kind of show you the difference between plumette and otter. Let's see. Can you see that? The plumette is just a little bit shorter. At any rate, this is plumette and symphony. And we call this the Arctic Dreams cowl because it has that sort of Nanook of the North aesthetic. And as crazy as it looks, watch what happens when you put this on. It just falls around your neck in fabulous folds. And we did it originally, I think it's sitting around here somewhere. Oh, I don't know where it is, so never mind. We did it originally in a bunch of multicolors, and then when Vogue wanted to do it, they said, no, let's do it in something really neutral. And what the Symphony does is it allows this to fold in, again, it's that stockinette, reverse stockinette thing. So it allows it to fold in these wonderful drapey folds. Here's what I really love about this piece. If you're somewhere and you're cold, it comes down over your shoulders. If you are going outside and it's cold, it goes over your ears. And I am here to tell you, having been in New York, hothouse flower that I am, in January several times, I don't have woolly hats because I don't even think about woolly hats. And having gone outside, thought about something like this. So I had this around my neck and I went outside and it's like, oh my God, it's so cold. And I pulled this up and, you know, even though it's a knit and it's, you know, it kept my ears so warm. It was fabulous. So that is our Arctic Dreams cowl. And again, I love it in this silver. I think that was a brilliant choice on Vogue's part to do that. But it's be really good in lots of other colors too. All right, and I think that brings us to our hour. So there's a couple minutes left. If there's anybody who wants to ask another question, I'm here for that.
You can show this other color.
Sure. Laura, we're going to bring in, here's the, we're going to show you the original Fibonacci fade.
Yes.
In this color, and there you can see I'm telling you that accent is just the softest thing ever. So this was done in bittersweet and slate, right?
Shale,
bittersweet and shale. So I'd like to remind everybody that Laura will be back with us tomorrow at 11:30 Central Time. She's going to spend a half hour, so we have to rush. We've got to get everything in. She'll be talking a little more in depth about her, the invention of the chroma wheel, where it came from and how it's evolving. So please join us for that. I will remind you once again that everything you've seen today is on the website, and it's www.greatyarns.com. Call me. And I have neglected this whole time to introduce my friend, my dear friend. This is Carrie Adams, and this is how this circle goes. Laura is the wholesaler, Carrie is the sales rep, and I'm the retailer. And long ago, 29 years ago, I talked her into doing the Stitches shows with me. And so we've had a collaboration for those many years. So I want you to all know I could not do this without her help. I am so indebted. So again, thank you all for joining us. Do come back. I so appreciate it. Stay happy. and stay knitting.
Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.